Hey everybody, when you can't figure out the economy, every once in a while some breaking news just helps you connect all the dots, because today we have a new record set, one that hasn't been broken in a long time, and it's not the one you think it is.
More than half of Americans say they would need at least $100,000 a year to be financially comfortable.
The benchmark of a six-figure salary used to be the gold standard income. It represented the tipping point of finally earning a disposable income and building a savings, spending based on your wants, not just your needs.
I do Lyft, Instacart, DoorDash, cutting grass, washing cars, I do it all.
Torrance Strong does whatever he can to pay rent each month.
It's up, rent up right now.
It's not good. Not good news at all. And I gotta tell you, particularly if you're in Florida or Texas and you're on the market for sale, you need to pay close attention to this bit of data.
Another sign that the U.S. economy is beginning to slow down.
Remember, the GDP and the PCE data last week both showed weakness in the consumer. Not only that, the earnings reports from many consumer companies are showing that the consumer, especially on the lower end, is now dropping off. So I think we are heading for a dramatic slowdown. The headline data doesn't show it. The rich probably are getting richer because they have savings and they're being paid huge interest rates on their savings, so they continue to spend. But the bottom half, 50% of the population, probably has run out of its excess savings and is worse off compared to pre-COVID days.
Now up on screen, I'm going to show you, this is the entire US, all the homes hitting inventory against last year. Okay, I'm going to break that down for you in a second, but allow me to add some context. Once in a lifetime record low headline, which National Association of Realtors broke today. Listen to me on this. To provide context for your brain to wrap itself around this headline, you have to understand where we are in 2024 that nobody is talking about. What people do not understand is in 2024, if we match our months, and I am watching this across the nation, we're selling fewer homes than 2008. Now, what's crazy about that is we did not sell as few homes in 23 as we have in multi-decades lows. Think of it this way. The only closest year in the 2000s that we sold so few homes as we did last year was in 2009, where home sales dipped around 4 million, which was a similar level to what we sold last year. Okay, 2009, think about what was happening. There was a massive financial crisis that led to a complete shockwave that absolutely changed housing inventory. Because here's the deal. Inventory, which has been historically low last year, buyers, even though they were not in the market, record low sales. It didn't mess the market up that much because there wasn't a lot of inventory. Let me show you a table view here from Reventure app. This is the data from all the states. You can see the top states that are trending year over year. Look at the supply. 70% in Florida, inventory levels against last year. Way more houses on the market. Arizona, 70%. Washington, 52%. Georgia, so on and so forth. Think of this, people. You have to go all the way down 36 states to see any states that aren't putting more than 20% climb in inventory on the books. So you got to understand that most of the states, 36 of them, are higher than 20% year over year. Now, you'd say, well, Jared, there's like another 14 states or so that are still not putting on big inventory. Yeah, out of 14 states that are beneath that line, like 7 of them don't even have a population of 3 million people. There's not a lot of people to even be concerned with. Those are minor states. But the mass majority of the U.S., you have to understand right now, in the face of what I'm about to share with you, is this. We are now in 2024. We are basically at the same point as we're heading into June. We are at a decline against the same period in 2023. You heard me right. Let me say it again. 2024, we are selling fewer homes than in 2023. And the only other time we had such piss poor sell-off in terms of actual homes being taken down and purchased was in the year 2009. But we're not in 2023 anymore, folks. The low inventory, which everybody reported across the country, everybody was saying, you know what? The reason why 2023 sales declines are so bad, finish the statement. Why did everybody last year, the pundits, Lawrence Yun from National Association of Realtors, all the economists on Market Watch and CNBC and all this, What was the reason they gave why we had such piss poor sell-off in 2023? Piss poor is very official economic term, by the way. The reason why they said it was low is because they said there was no inventory, right? You heard this over and over. And now, what's the problem? We have 20, 30, as much as 70% more inventory this year than we had last year. We're selling fewer homes this year than last year. Now enter the headline. The shocking breaking news that you are going to learn is happening right now beneath all this. And this is the headline. As I'm shooting this, breaking today, the pending U.S. home sales fall to an all-time low in May. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe that's not Florida or Texas, but we're going to find out for sure either way. Now look at this. The positive, rosy National Association of Realtors, which I find myself a part of, says here in the bottom, in the second half of 2024, look for moderately lower mortgage rates, higher home sales, and stabilizing home prices. The crux of the story is this, though. If we scroll down, the number of pending home sales fell in May to an all-time low as U.S. homebuyers grapple with elevated mortgage rates and rising home prices. Pending home sales fell 2.1% in May from the previous month. Well, oh well, this is fascinating news. Lawrence Yun, the National Association of Realtors top economist, for the longest time has been informing us, and you know, because I repeat it and parrot a lot on this channel, that the only reason we don't sell more homes, the only reason last year was a 30-year record low amount of home sales was simply because buyers don't have enough to choose from. And obviously, we all know, folks, that's not true. In the state of Florida, particularly the month we find ourselves, we're up about 70% in inventory, up year over last year. Okay? Now, all that to be said, listen to this. Many of you are saying, Jared, big whoop. We got U.S. pendings at a record low for May. Well, is that a record low of any month on record? Yeah. That's the lowest amount of buyers contracting homes in May, one of the king months for moving season, that we've had since they've been tracking this, okay? That's going back to 2001. Now listen to this. This is the pertinent part of this. What we clearly see right now is buyers are saying the affordability issues are at a breaking point, okay? Every month, it doesn't matter which month, each month you look at reported news on the housing market, you're going to see things like it's the highest price ever recorded. It's the highest payment ever recorded. It's the lowest amount of affordability, or unaffordability is a record highs. All these kinds of things are the culmination of the news for today. Now, that wouldn't be a problem because if you would think about it, a lot of people also have equity. So if they would sell their home and go and buy the next home, they could just move all that money and all these things about high prices and expensive payments, and none of that would matter. But here in Florida, we have a very interesting thing happening. Look at this, my friends. This graph I lay before you is the new listings going to the market in Florida. Now look at this. This looks like a little tiny line, looks like an inchworm on your screen, but this is like 6 months of time. Now, where is it going? It's going up. And it's one of the largest increases that you can see going all the way back almost 2 years. Now, why is this a problem? Well, it's a problem because if you think back in 2023, when the line of new listings was really, really low, this wasn't not a bad thing that people really couldn't afford houses, you know? It's like if there's buyers and they can't afford anything, no big deal because people aren't listing them anyways. But as you can see right here, this is a jump in inventory of people saying, you know what, enough's enough. Look, at any point, can you see a 6-month stretch going all the way back here to early 2022? That was the last time you had anything like this because all the way back here, these lines are far, far lower. So right now, for whatever reason in Florida, people have said, you know what, golden handcuffs or not, 3% mortgage rate be danged. I'm out. I'm moving across the street or across the country. I've had it with my high mortgage rates. I've had it with my high insurance rates. Whatever it is, it's insurance, it's taxes, there's always a story. There's people in this state that we hear stories about on a daily basis that can't afford their HOAs or whatever the reason. And ultimately, that leads to a breaking point where people are saying enough's enough. At the same time, there's a lot of people on the market competing with their neighbors. Okay, so we're 70% up in active inventory. So as we relate to all this, what's happening in real time? And this is not just in Florida, folks. All across the country, we all experienced a very low sell-off last year. A record number. That is now where we find ourselves this year. We're not even competing with 2023. A lot of months, depending on where you are in the country, you're not even selling those piss poor numbers we had in 23. We're not even maintaining those this year in 24. At the same time, more people, especially in Florida, have said enough's enough. I'm putting my house in the market, but there's nobody buying. And this is why in the South, if you've read the builder reports, the new construction reports, as I have, you're seeing a climb in inventory in the South. Inventory in the South, depending on where you look, is 9 to 12 months of supply for new construction. And it's going to get interesting. And ultimately, I've always said for the longest time on this channel that a lot of people that are saying there's never going to be a change. It's not going to change. It's going to go up forever. There's not going to be any corrections. And again, I'm not here to say this is a housing crash, but I'm saying watch where you live, watch the month of supply, watch active inventory levels, watch the area around your house, especially if you're on the market. Take this market very seriously. There is no reason why you shouldn't be paying attention to make sure that your home is perceived as the most valuable home. And that can be done by either reducing the price or making sure you have max curb appeal and highest value perceived in the public to be the next person to sell in a marketplace that is starting to stack. And ultimately, we know that buyers are at max fatigue. And this is a problem because people are moving their house to the market. There's a lot of people that are saying, apparently, they're going to rent. They're going to rent. They're going to wait to buy. They're saying there's not enough selling point for me to get in this market and jump in. And this isn't across all the boards. I'm telling you, because there's going to be a lot of people in my comments say,
I don't feel this at all where I'm at.
And there'll be plenty of people who will call me the week after this video and say, Jared,
this was an epiphany because I couldn't understand why I was on the market for 5 months in what I thought was going to be a hot area.
Folks, times are changing and we're in moving season. This is the time when everybody does business. Nobody likes to move their kids in school and say, all right, kids, we're going to move to a different district or whatever. This is when 3, 4, 5 bedrooms and beyond tend to turn over. So ultimately, how in the world are we setting a record low moving pace? Because buyer demand is low. It's very low. It's alarmingly low. Okay. And again, don't go in the comments and say, Jared, it's not low. There's not low buyer demand. People want to buy. Wanting to buy is not measure of buyer demand. Okay. Buyer demand is not going out and saying, how many of you feel like being a homeowner? True buyer demand is the measure of how many ready, able, willing, qualified, money in your pockets, credit qualified can go out and actually buy what they want to buy and are willing to do it. A lot of people just aren't. And that's killing the demand. And remember this. You do not need 2008, 9, 10 level inventory in the face of very low buyer demand. All you need is just a little too many houses when there are very few buyers in the market looking to buy. You got to remember, if you look back at 8, 9, and 10, as I lived and sold in that market, the buyers at that time were very active. Supply would be picked off. Supply was moving. People were buying, even though there were a lot of houses turning over. People were still engaging and purchasing those homes at that time. A lot of them were going off the bank, but I digress. Tell me in the comments below, what do you think about the latest news? Let's talk about it in the comments. We'll see you on the next one.